Hey, my more brothers. Back again, probably a little sooner than I expected. And this is probably an impromptu rant it's probably a treat for some people and probably a curse for others. But I'm sitting here and I'm looking at YouTube over the last week or so, especially about this Muhammad deal with him throwing bricks through the goddamn window. And I got to thinking, and the more I got to thinking about what has been said on both sides, and Turian Rain actually kind of channeled some of it, but I got to think of the responses coming back from the other side about Muhammad and what he did, and that should be an example of black men. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have no problem with Muhammad, but thinking about that, man, I said I feel a rant coming on. And so, since the evil twin never got properly put back in his closet and he's tapping me on the shoulder, he pushed me aside and said, I want to talk. I want to talk about this because this is a rant coming on. And let me give my disclaimer. For good women, conscious brothers, or people with sensitive ears, this ain't the video for you. I'm gonna just say it. And I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of thumbs down for this. Hopefully I don't get a strike. But the evil twin says, if you get a strike, so be it. Well, let's review Alvin Muhammad. I'm trying to remember his first name off the bat, but I know most of that is just demonstration. He was proving something to another man, to another group of men. And he was proving something to another group of men to actually do what puff up his chest for the females. That's all it is. Because I was watching the brother on a video with some irate fucking females yelling in his face, clapping their hands, going off. But he had a soft voice toward them. Granted, supposed to be his women, fine. But those women wasn't showing him any kind of respect. Basically, they were telling him, nigga, go do something. Because that man disrespected me, or didn't give me the respect that I think I deserve, or whatever it was. Instead of telling her and those other women, don't go back in there. Go someplace else. Don't give them your money. No, I'm going to decide I want to drive him out of business so they can't have any place else to go. Well, I still want you to service me, but I want you to make it comfortable to where black women can come in and get their services from me. And he's doing that because guess what? He don't have control over his own women, which basically this man up side is telling men to man up and do certain things and act a certain way. Basically means that you have to woo and bribe your women to actually act appropriately. And I'm gonna tell a story real quick that kind of illustrates this, where we are as compared to other groups of people and how backwards we are. Now, a neighbor of mine, I've known her a long time. She invited my grandson, because she's older than me, to her great-grandson, her great-grandchildren, her great-grandson's birthday party. And when they came by, we noticed that they were mixed. They're mixed children. And she's telling the story of how her great-grandson got to be with, I do believe they're married. I'm not quite sure if they're married or not. I do believe they're married. Had 2 kids by this woman who's not black. In fact, she's East Indian. And they met in Arizona, another state, in Arizona when he's in college. Standard mixed marriage. I'm sure there's people that's going to be for and against that. Probably a lot of people will be against it, but that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that she tells the story that when she first met the girl, when they actually moved back to California, actually met the girl, met the man's wife, she noticed how cooperative and submissive this young lady, this young woman was to her grandson. And that didn't sit well with her. So she's trying to coach this cooperative, submissive woman that her grandson married and is happy with, and to be more like the typical black woman, combative, boisterous, speaking up, speaking your mind, being more assertive. Which means that in my mind, she's basically telling her grandson that you don't deserve a submissive, cooperative woman because she ain't like me. You picked a woman that I don't approve of, or not that I don't approve of, that needs to be coached. Because in our culture, this is abnormal. In other words, she's trying to teach her to be the managerial class because you should run the household. And you should be telling him what to do. You shouldn't be telling him to take orders. This ain't the first time that I heard this, or I've seen this. I've been seeing this all my life. I'll give you a second story. This comes from my subs. This has come from my subs. This is not something that I'm guessing about. This is something they've told me. Trigger Man, one of my subs. Shout out to Trigger Man. Shout out to Trigger Man and his queen. Trigger Man found him a suitable wife, a suitable woman that's cooperative with him. I'm not saying submissive. I've talked to her. Sweet thing, absolutely sweet thing. Loves him to death, and he loves her to death. He told me a story. He's going into Walmart with his pregnant wife. And she wants to do one thing. I think it was go cash a check or something like that. And as a man, as his right, he is the manager of the household. He's been put in that place, and she fully submits to his authority. He says, no, you're going to wait till I get this card, and we're going to go over there together. And she does as she's supposed to. She's submitted to his authority. She's cooperative with him. And it's just a small thing. Older black woman that he doesn't know, it's not his mother, not related to her, walks over and she takes exception to it. So instead of talking to him, and I've noticed this, that when black women come together in the gynocracy, they don't talk to you because you don't count. And she didn't come directly towards him as the man of the house. I'm sure if it was a white man, she'd have come toward him. She talks directly to his partner, his wife, and tells her she doesn't have to listen to him. She can go ahead and do what she wants. And if she wants to go cash a check and not wait for him to get the car, she doesn't have to listen to him. Now, mind you, this woman doesn't know either one of them from Adam. Has no business interfering with their business. She doesn't like it because he pulled rank and he told his wife, his partner, to submit to his authority, to cooperate with his wishes, which she perfectly did and complied with. But it actually rankled this older black woman's sensibilities. And Trigger Man had to get her straight, as I would have, because I've had to do the same thing a few times, where black women try to jump over you, jump your authority, and go directly to your woman and tell her to do something in your relationship that she shouldn't do over you. And I've had to get my own family straight about that bullshit in my own house with kids that I feed. So I know what I'm talking about. This goes personal with me. This is a personal thing with me. Third story, and I'll make this short. Another lady, I'm not going to mention her name. I don't have permission to give this story, but it's on the record. If you listen to BGS for Women, she told the story. So I'm not telling something that's not already in the public domain. And she probably would be perfectly willing to tell the same story herself. She comes from a submissive religious sect, very strict, that has which is unusual in the black community, a very strict patriarchal sect where the women either don't work or work very little, and the boys are actually educated first. And she was groomed to be cooperative and submissive and to be a wife and other things, which she is. I think she is from what I understand about her, she's absolutely a great mother and wife. And he wanted to marry her after 30 days. He was sold. And a lot of things between her and his mother are similar. There's just one difference. His mother is a boss. His mother runs the house. And when he brought his wife home to meet his mother, to meet his female kinfolk, the first thing they try to do is change her. No, girl, you too submissive. You're too cooperative. You need to speak your mind. You need to tell that nigga what he need to do for you because you too nice. In other words, being cooperative and submissive is weakness in the black community for women. And what they want in their laws should not be challenged. Now, why am I saying all this? What kind of point am I driving to? Remember, this is a rant, so this is not a straight line. If you're looking for a straight line with logic and all that stuff, this ain't the video for you. This is a rant. How does that tie into Muhammad and what he did? They treated Muhammad like a fucking employee, not a leader. They treated him like a goon squad. In other words, they got their message across to that nail shop through him, even though they were going to do what the fuck they wanted to do anyway. But I'm going to paraphrase an old saying, you know who rules by those that you cannot criticize or question. The rulers, the people in charge, or the boss, you don't criticize or question the boss. We have people, guys out here that are trying to make it seem like black men are in charge of the goddamn community. But when it comes to criticizing or questioning a certain group of people, black women, that's off the table. You can tell the guys to man up. You can't go overseas. You can't marry out. You can't date African women. You have to stick with African American women because you have to rebuild the black community. You have to take the children and you have to take the businesses and all the stuff out of black women's hands, and you have to do it. Because if you don't, you are subpar and you're weak. If you go overseas and you go be happy, you're a weak ass nigga. If you don't throw rocks to a goddamn window, you're a weak ass nigga. If you don't build businesses for these chicks, you're a weak ass nigga. If you don't overcome the miseducation and the mistreatment you get from this country, you're a weak ass nigga. There are no excuses for you. You have no excuses. You man up and you do what you need to do. It doesn't matter that your fucking women are subpar. And I'm not talking about the good women. There are good women out there. Nothing's 100%. But I'm tired of black men making excuses for subpar women. Everybody's got to be held accountable. All hands on deck. Women and children too. I learned from my grandmother, it was a sharecropper. Everybody had to be held accountable. As soon as you started walking, you had to be held accountable. From the ages 3 on up, you had to be held accountable. If we can hold a fucking 3-year-old accountable for their actions, and we do all the time, surely we can hold adult women accountable for theirs. They do what they want with their wombs. They do what they want with their money. They do what they want with their children, whether it's which is something miseducating them, using them as checks, using them to make money, using them to hold men, using them to extract money out of men and the government, not properly educating or developing these children for the world. But they can be excused. Every time I hear this, well, you have to understand that the slavery that they went through and the punishment that they went through and the environment they went through, like black men and black boys weren't raised in the exact same environment, only worse. Whatever black women get, whatever they go through, is double for black men in society. But the thing is, even though they go through half of what black men go through, black men still don't get to be excused from it. And I'm not saying that they should. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they should. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do with what you have and the environment that you're in. I don't give a goddamn if black women nest the environment. I don't give a shit whether she does or not. Those are words. At the end of the day, you got to hold her accountable. I'm tired of guys making excuses for substandard women. I really am. I'm tired of this. Either you cut it down the middle, you make it fair, and you hold everybody from the children on up, because in the Asian community, from the children on up, everybody's held accountable. In the Hispanic community, from 3 on up, Everybody held accountable, the woman included. They talk about how Latino men protect their women. Yes, they do. Will they get a machete and actually chop you up over their woman? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. But guess what? They'll also slap the shit out of that woman if she gets out of fucking line. They'll slap the crap out of her if she gets out of line. If she raises her voice to him while he's in authority. Yeah, he puts his life on the line. Yeah, he works his 16 hours. He works his finger to the goddamn bone. But if she gets out of fucking line and doesn't do what the fuck she says supposed to do, they slap the shit out of her in public. And the cops turn their head and walk the other way. She doesn't have a right to question what the fuck he does. But in the black community, that's not so. The women can say any fucking thing they want to you. They can order you around. They can boss you around. They can say anything. And if you dare raise a hand to them, the first thing they do is call Johnny Law on your ass. Now, I'm saying that you should beat the crap out of your women. I ain't saying that. What I'm saying is you can't mix and match communities. You can't mix and match what men are supposed to do in one community with different circumstances and try to apply that to black men. If it don't apply to black women, well, goddamn it don't apply to black men either. This ain't cultural hopscotch where we can ignore the chick behind the goddamn curtain. Even though she's pulling all the goddamn levers. Oh, because she been through so much. And she just crazy out of your mind. She's out of her mind. Niggas going to jail, niggas on dope, niggas being shot at, niggas harassed by the goddamn police, niggas miseducated and treated badly by the school system and all the goddamn teachers, including the black females. And this ain't been over the last 50 years. Man, this has been a goddamn 150 years. But all of a sudden, we supposed to forgive them for going through half of what we went through. Get the fuck out of here. Stop trying to bribe these bras to be better. Either they want the black community better or they don't. Either you want your men in charge or you don't. Either you want to raise better men for your girls and better men for your community or you don't. That is it. Either you do or you don't. It's really that simple. If you want to walk your ass up into Asian nail shop or Asian hair shop and get into a scuffle with the goddamn proprietor and the proprietor slaps the shit out of you, first thing you say, do not go back in there and then we'll handle it. But guess what? They drop the prices. Your black asses are back in the next week. Either you want a solid, cohesive community or you don't. And for guys to actually tell black men to man the fuck up or they're weak or they're soft because they don't want to deal with substandard women, it's something I don't agree with. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. And I'm gonna tell you why. We got 2 girls and 1 boy that I raised. Are you telling me I'm supposed to want more for my daughters than I want for my son? And that's a fucking problem with the black community. They want more for the goddamn women than they want for their boys, than they want for their own goddamn son. You tell that daughter to get the best man that she can get that will take care of her and her kids and treat her like a goddamn queen. But you tell your boy he's got to take whatever is available. And he knows that you're sending him into a pool of subpar women. And he's just got to handle it and walk through it. And then for the subpar women that do get into something, that do get into trouble, you got to go help her boys out of trouble. Because now her boys and the shit that she does is now your responsibility. That's fine. If you want to send them on a mission of Captain Save a Hoe, or Captain Save a Thought, or Captain Community, you want them to don that blue cape and them blue sim shoes, at least give them a goddamn reason to tell them the goddamn truth. They're fucked up. It's not that you're weak if you don't want to do it. Is that I think that if we're going to make this better, then there's something that you're going to have to consider to do. And if they want to walk away, so what? They can take the cape off and toss them shoes. Because they deserve to be happy. My son deserves to be happy. My son does not date black women, even though his mother is chocolate. Half the dudes in Southern California don't date black women. And it's not because of the way they look. It's not because of the hair. It's the goddamn attitude. And you know what? I can't tell them that they're wrong. I look at the black women and I can't tell them that they're wrong. And that's what sickens me. I can't tell them. I can't chastise them. I can't tell these brothers that they're wrong for dating out of their community or dating out of their culture. I can't tell them that they're wrong. They deserve the same quality that I would want for my daughter. If my son brought home a subpar chick, I would immediately tell him this chick is subpar. You need to find you another one. Throw her back. Because I care for my son. I care for my son's well-being. I care for my black boys' well-being. I want them to be happy. I don't want them to be miserable. I don't want them to die an early death because they bore the brunt of a community that doesn't love them. If you can't address that black woman to be a better woman so that we can convince these boys to be better men, they're not dumb. They're not idiots. They're not robots. Because you think you're clever, because you think you can, stomp down and wolf on a mic that these dudes aren't going to see what's fair and what's not. They're intelligent beings. They can tell when they're not being treated fairly. If my children, from the time that they're 2 or 3 years old, can tell that they're not being treated fairly, that they have been discriminated against, that they're not being favored, they can tell at the age of 3. Don't you think goddamn they can tell at the age of 30? That what you're saying is bullshit and tell you to go fuck yourself, which is what they're telling you right now. What you're upset about is that these dudes are telling you go fuck yourself. I'm not wading into that toxic water just on your say so. And the bullshit that you're feeding them, saying, oh, if you don't, the black community will burn. Fuck it, let it burn. That's what they're telling you. They're giving you the middle finger and you don't like it. You don't like that the black men that have been the beast of burden for the black goddamn community for 200 years are telling you to go fuck yourself. That's the issue. That's why you're mad. That's like you want to run out and slap them because you told them to do something and they flip you the bird because you ain't giving them nothing. You don't want to understand them. All you want them is to do. Follow your orders. Follow directions. If anybody's ever worked on a job and been in charge of people, this is I'll tell you what, this is one of the first things when I was in ROTC. I was only in it for like a year and a half. The first thing that they told me as an officer that you had to be fair. You had to treat people fairly. You had to treat people right down the middle. You could not favor one half of your troops over the other. Because if you do, you're gonna lose them. First thing they taught me. If you're gonna be in command, you have to be neutral. If you're gonna be command, you wanna lead these guys. You wanna lead these men. You wanna coach these guys. Telling them they have to do something that they feel is unfair is not gonna work. It's not how you lead men. But I thought that you guys would have figured it out by now. You don't lead men by being unfair. They're not gonna follow you. Nobody will. The easiest way to lose people from actually following or being behind you is fucking not being fair. You do it too many times, you're gonna have problems. You let a motherfucking knucklehead, I don't care whether it's on the street selling dope, I don't care if it's in the boardroom, doing whatever, selling $1 billion of stocks on a fund. If you have a slacker that's not doing shit that you actually favoring and covering up for, that's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. Especially amongst men. Men know when they're not being treated fairly, and they don't like it because it doesn't make sense. They're logical beings, not emotional beings. So screaming at them, or you can scream at them all you want. They're not emotional beings, they're logical beings. And basically, you're trying to use female emotionalism by screaming at them, calling them pussies and weak in the place of logic. Makes some goddamn sense. If you're gonna appeal to them logically. Make them appeal to their masculine brain. The first thing you need to do is be fair. Because I always hear, well, yeah, I do get on women. Bullshit. Say it again. Bullshit. I listen to you. Say that you get on women. Bullshit, you cover up for them. And I ain't got no problem. If you're going to cover up for them, cover up for them. But the thing is, don't pretend like you're not. Don't pretend like you're being fair. If you're going to correct the problem, you got to correct all of them. Unfair to make one kid clean up the whole goddamn house when you got 3 other kids messing it up. This ain't the goddamn Cinderella story with the ugly stepsister, okay? We ain't running that today. And black dudes ain't going for it. You know what? I don't goddamn blame them. It's like I look at disease. I look half of these young millennials and these Z, they fucking say, you know what? I'm not putting up with subpar women just to say that I'm trying to protect the race. It's a bad deal. I don't blame them. Now, normally, if brothers are trying to do the right thing, I leave them the fuck alone. You know, I don't try to bloat up their spot about them trying to help the race or help the community, try to make it better. Getting fucking tired of you guys beating up on dudes for goddamn nothing. If you ain't gonna correct one side of the house, leave the other one alone. If the house is gonna be a mess and you're not gonna make everybody clean it up, then guess what? Let the house stay a mess. Either you correct both sides or you correct none. Can't let women run all over the place, shit all over the ground, talk shit, and then expect the guys to come in and clean up the mess. Come on, man. Anyway, I've ran it long enough, man. Let me take a drink of water and cool off. BGS out. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.